All right, hello. Welcome to Turmoil, a new series on the channel. It is going to be my most comprehensive and probably my longest videos on the channel. This series is going to be about the controversy of some NBA teams. We might dip into some other sports. I don't know how comfortable I am with that, but for now, it will just be NBA teams. And of course, the first team we have to talk about when talking about turmoil, especially in the NBA this season, is the 2024-2025 Dallas Mavericks. Just a handful, not even more than a handful, a hell of a lot of stuff going on with the team internally, externally, so on and so forth. I have a script, I have everything planned out. So if you like what I have to say, like the video, if you like this idea, if you like the series, like the video, um, there'll be more to come. Subscribe, all that good stuff. Comment your opinions down below. It would really help. And yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I do want to give a shout out here at the top because I like to give credit where credit is due. The picture in front of you of Nico Harrison, um, or I should say the compilation, the collage. I borrowed it from at But Sports on Twitter. So if you want to follow him, follow him. But yeah, let's jump right into it. We got a long way to go, and we're gonna try to get through this as clearly and as concisely and as fast as possible. So first, when talking about the Dallas Mavericks, the 2024-2025 Dallas Mavericks, we have to talk about a lot of people. There are a lot of characters in this story. So we're gonna talk about a lot of people first. Then we're gonna get into what I like to call only a few people knew. And then after that, we're going to get into Nico, incompetent, egomaniacal, or the fall guy, or all three. And we have some other stuff, but I want to keep you on the edge of your seat. And we'll talk about those other categories when we get there. But first and foremost, let's talk about Nico Harrison, um, the current general manager and president of basketball operations for the Dallas Mavericks. He got that position in 2021. Before that, he spent 19 years at Nike, starting in 2002. He was the vice president of North American sports marketing for Nike. I did not know he had such a big title. Prior to that, he played professional basketball in Europe for over 6 years. I did not know that either. He had notable ties in his time at Nike to Kobe Bryant, Anthony Davis, and yeah, he spent a lot of time at Nike between that era. There's a picture with him with Nike with I think is at an Olympic camp or something like that with Kobe Bryant and with Anthony Davis. The Anthony Davis piece is going to become a uh, a little bit more important as we go through this whole debacle. Um, the next character, this I kind of did this in like order of most important, or yeah, most important. The next character, um, the current majority owner um, of the Dallas Mavericks, the Alson family. That's Adelson. So if I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. I think it's Alson family. The primary owner, Miriam Alson, they acquired a 73% majority stake in the team in December of 2023 from the previous owner, the longtime owner, the favorite owner by far, Mark Cuban, Patrick Dumont, who is related to the Dadson family in some capacity, I think by marriage or something of the like. He is the governor of the team, and these guys, I think specifically Miriam Adson, made her money, made her millions and I should say billions of dollars in in Vegas. She made it in casinos and stuff of that nature. They did acquire the team from Mark Cuban, and at the time of the sale in 2023, Mark Cuban was supposed to retain a majority stake and a role in basketball operations. The latter, basketball operations, did not make it past 2 years, 3 years. Um, he does not have that title anymore, or that role on the team, a hand in basketball operations. I think if he had a hand in basketball operations, this Luka thing would have happened. Um, he does not have that role anymore. He was pushed out. I think that's a very important part that people, in the moment of watching um, this Luka thing, this Mavericks thing happen, they didn't really realize that Mark really didn't have a hand in any of this. He was sort of on the outside looking in, like a majority of NBA fans in the NBA world as a collective. The next guy, the man of the this whole reason of this video is Luka Doncic. I'm gonna keep it short. I'm gonna keep it sweet because we all know who Luka is. He's been talked about enough. He's been in the news cycle essentially since the trade. So I'll keep it short here. Luka was drafted in 2018. He, I genuinely think he loved playing for the Mavericks, and the fans loved him. And I'm gonna preface this here. I am a fan of Luka, but a lot of this video is going to be objective. It's going to be facts. It's going to be straightforward. I'm not going to sugarcoat it until the end, and then I'm going to give my opinions and thoughts about everything. But for now, it's just going to be facts and things that we know or have speculated to be about. I'd say 90% true. So yeah, he was drafted in 2018. The fans loved him. He had a bunch of achievements and accolades in his time as a Maverick. He was a couple time All Star. He was in MVP conversations till his from his second year on in the league. Still is in MVP conversations. And yeah, he was just traded in the middle of the night by Nico. You don't need you guys know the story by now. I don't need to really go in too depth on that part. The next guy, the other guy who was a part of this thing in the sense of he was just on the team. He is still on the team. Kyrie Irving, aka Kai. Uh, we'll cover first how he got here. He was traded for Spencer Dinwiddie and Jordan Finney-Smith and a couple of picks from Brooklyn in, let's see here, yeah, on February 6th, 2023. So all these things are coming together, a culmination in 2023. The beginnings of this. Um, I I like Kyrie. I think he's been a great Dallas Maverick. I think especially through this time of turmoil. He's been a stand up guy. I think at other points in his career he's been a bit immature. He's been a bit um, not so engaged with the team, but I think he really likes being a Dallas Maverick, and I think I know he's held in high regard by his what do you call it? His coworkers, his constituents, the players he plays against, the players he plays with. He's been troublesome at times, but he's been good in Dallas, and he was really good as a leader and um, as a player playing this year before the injury. Um, so yeah, the uh, the guy who I think a lot of people have questions about, and we're gonna get into this in only a few people knew, but Jason Kidd, the Mavs head coach. Um, to give you a little bit about Jason, Jason was a very good player. He has a ton of records, assist records. He's played for a couple teams, and I coincidentally was an NBA champion with the Dallas Mavericks back in the day. Um, Jason, however, as a coach, has not had the best record. The Mavs are his third stop as a coach. His most recent previous job, he was an assistant coach for the Lakers in 2019-2020. He also was the head coach of the Nets in 2013 to 2014. And I think his longest tenure was with the Bucks in 2014-2018. There were notable failures in both situations for the Nets and the Bucks. Um, he really He had a young Giannis Antetokounmpo, and he couldn't coach him. He didn't know what to do with Giannis. But as the Mavs head coach, he reached the finals in 2023, 2024. However, this year, 2024, 2025, he missed the playoffs. I don't think to any fault of his own. It was due to the team that he had and then was taken away from him and then was reassembled in the middle of the season, along with a laundry list of injuries to guys like Kyrie, guys like Anthony Davis, who we'll get to right after this, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, just and other small pieces getting traded. We'll get to that. The next guy, I think one of the most important guys in this because he was what the Mavericks got back in the Luka Doncic trade, is Anthony Davis. The story of his career is all of the potential and some of the reward. Um, he was traded to Dallas after successfully winning a championship with the Lakers in 2020. That was the most notable thing of his career. In that 2020 season, that was probably the best version of Anthony Davis we've ever seen. He was all time great, and I know it was in the NBA bubble. I know some people don't count that Lakers championship because it was sort of, I don't want to say manufactured because that's not the right word, but more so not a real championship. Do I think it was one of the hardest championships in NBA history? Not really. Um, but I've come to respect that Laker team as a whole. Um, but speaking of the Lakers, he had his ups and downs as a Laker. He was probably the healthiest he had ever been in his career as a Laker. He sort of shook that narrative that he was Anthony, quote unquote, day to day Davis, Anthony, street clothes Davis. That's what they would call him. Um, but near the end of his time in a Lakers uniform, constituents and people around the Lakers became very disinterested in the team's ability to compete in the future behind Anthony Davis with 3 years and $100+ million remaining on his deal. With, this is an important part, this is a very important part, so listen up, with a trade kicker. So, for those who do not know, a trade kicker is when you get traded. Um, Obviously, you work it into your deal before you sign it with your current team. Is you say, hey, if I am to get traded, where I'm going to get kicked back some money because I probably don't want him. He probably did. In Anthony Davis' situation, he definitely didn't want to be traded, but um, he did have that trade kicker in his deal. This is all reported. The Lakers constituents and people around the Lakers being disinterested in Anthony Davis um, in the future was reported by notable sources. I just want to make that clear. All these things are again verified by sources and um, by reliable people in the know. Far more in the know people and smarter people than me. Um, Along with this, Anthony Davis did an interview with ESPN's Shams Charania, senior NBA insider for ESPN. Um, it didn't help Anthony Davis and his time remaining in LA. He complained that he would like to play with a real big man, a center. Anthony Davis does not like playing center. He's made that known throughout his career. Um, he wanted to return to his natural position as power forward. And then after that interview came out, it wasn't because of the interview, but it was sort of ironic. It was sort of um, ironic that he was subsequently traded after after the interview. Um, you can watch that interview if you look it up. And lastly, of this section, major characters and how they got to Dallas or how they were involved in this. I wanted to include some other people that were involved in this, some minor people, and I would call this subsection uh, others caught in the crossfire because there were a lot of people just caught in the crossfire of this whole Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis trade, Nico Harris, new owner thing, right? The first guy on this list for me caught in the crossfire was Clay Thompson. Clay Thompson just wanted to play with Luka and Kyrie. That's really what he said. I remember watching his interview when he got announced as a Dallas Maverick. And he said he just wanted to have a smaller role. He just wanted to play alongside Luka, who is a great team guy who passes the ball, who will find you, and Clay, an all-time great shooter. Many, many, many great things in Clay's trophy case. Um, but the sad part about this all, and especially looking back on it from this point in the off season for the Mavs, is that 1 year ago probably Clay was thinking, oh, I could go to LA. I could go play for the Lakers because Clay has always been linked to the Lakers because his father played for the Lakers and he could have signed with them. Um, he got to Dallas in a 6 team trade. Um, it was a sign and trade, obviously involving his former team, the Golden State Warriors, and a bunch of other teams, and he got to Dallas that way. Another person of interest, another minor character in this whole thing, was Max Christie, the young guy who was a bright spot on the Lakers before this Luka Doncic trade. Uh, he was an innocent bystander. He was playing well for the Lakers, and then he just had to get thrown into the deal, and he ended up in Dallas. And I hope it's for the best for him, because he probably will play a bigger role in Dallas. I think towards the end, when they were really trying to get in the playoffs, he didn't play that much, but I think next year, hopefully, he will get some more burn. Another guy, I'm going to say another guy a lot. I should come up with a different acronym for that, but we're going to roll with it for now. Quentin Grimes, who was dealt in a later deal after this whole Luka thing to the Sixers. Um, he, it was so funny because they traded him. Nico Harrison traded Quentin Grimes, and then like maybe a week later, maybe even under a week, he had 44 points, his career high for the Sixers. So yeah, not a good look. Amongst other things, not a good look for the team, but that was the most blatant not a good look for this team. And we have finally reached the end of major characters and how they got there. I think I to some people he's a major character. To some people, I think he's more of a minor character in the grand scheme of things. But Lakers GM Rob Pelinka, it's been a very complicated tenure with the Lakers for Rob. He was notably in the past Kobe Bryant's agent uh, for a very long time. I think he really got in with the Lakers not because of Kobe, but because he was around Kobe and people liked Rob, and Rob got little bits of power within the organization post Kobe retirement, and then we'll get to some other stuff here. Notable, and also other notable things that happened in Rob's career. Landing LeBron James, arguably the biggest fish of free agency fish of the last not last decade, yeah, not this decade, last decade, yeah. Also feuding with Laker great and former Laker point guard back in the 80s, yeah, 80s and 90s, sort of. Magic Johnson in a bid for more power. Um, that was a whole debacle. That was the Lakers version of this Dallas Mavericks turmoil. Um, and then after the Magic Johnson thing, Rob Pelinka managed to get the Anthony Davis deal done that led to a championship. But perhaps his opus magnum, the biggest point of his career for Rob, it's been an up and down relationship with Lakers fans for Rob. People have called him incompetent. People have called him all the things that Nico might have been or is. Um, his opus magnum, trading for Luka Doncic and making Nico look silly. Just I I I don't know where to place this deal in the pantheon of great deals, but for Rob it was I can't even speak. It was just a crazy deal for Rob. And Rob is walking around with all the confidence, deservedly so. And it was reported um, at the end of the regular season that Rob has reached a brand new deal with the Lakers, so he will be the Lakers. He'll be with the Lakers for a long time to come. Along with that new deal, he got a new title and more power. I think he's president of basketball operations and GM and something else. I think he just has all the titles now to encompass needing to get more deals done this offseason for the Lakers, and we'll talk about that way, way, way down the line here. But yeah, Rob Palenka, a minor character to me, a major character to some people, but I think he 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 just deal with it. He just did what anybody else would do. He took advantage of a fool, and he was like, you know what, I got it. And it's funny that Rob and Nico and Kobe, God rest his soul, and Anthony Davis were all sort of floating around the vicinity of knowing each other and being close in circles, and Rob probably knowing Nico from his days, from Kobe's days with Team USA in the summers. Um, it's ironic how, or not ironic, it's coincidental. That's the word that Rob knew how probably foolish Nico was. But we'll get to that in a moment. To talk more about uh, Rob and Nico, I like to call this section "Only a Few People Knew," because that was the initial report of how this deal got done, because this deal was done under the guise of in the night, spec ops, um, sort of a black ops trade, if you would. It was a deal that nobody knew about, and a lot of NBA teams were furious that Rob or not Rob, Nico didn't let anybody um, else put their hat in and say, "Hey, this is what we got. Let us get Luka." You don't let anybody else do that. But let's get on to this section. Trying to write the narrative is the subsection of this section. One of the biggest points of interest is how did Rob and Nico get this deal done? It was originally reported that only a few people knew about this deal. Those being Rob Palenka and Jeannie Buss. Jeannie Buss is the owner of the Lakers. Not really an important character, but I'm going to mention her here on the Lakers side of things, and Nico and Patrick Dumont on the Mavs side of things. The deal came together in a month or less, as it has been reported afterwards. This has become a point of contention amongst people in the know. Again, people far more in the know than me, far more smarter than me, um, because here's where the trade kicker comes in. Anthony Davis would have to had waived his trade kicker um, previous to the deal being done. So, in short, Anthony Davis would have had to waive his trade kicker in a matter of hours um, previous to this deal, because the deal couldn't have get done if Anthony Davis was like, "No, I'm not waiving my trade kicker." Because if he didn't waive his trade kicker, he would have too much money on his contract, and the Mavs couldn't acquire him in the deal. So he'd have to waive his trade kicker, so the Mavs would have just enough space to take Anthony Davis's contract on. And here comes the other part: he would have to avoid the trade clause, the trade kicker in a matter of hours. So he and his agent Rich Paul would have had to have known at least a day before. Rich Paul is also an important character in this, at least in this section. Um, Counting those people, that's six people that knew about this deal. So to wrap it all up, at least this section, this part of the section, Rob and Nico knew two, Jeannie and Patrick Dumont knew, Anthony Davis obviously knew, and Rich Paul knew. So that's six people. Only a few, right? Only a few people knew. I've yet to mention LeBron James, who in the moment claimed he was just as shocked as anybody else when the Anthony Davis deal happened. He said in a post-game interview sometime after the trade, "It was shocking when, and I quote, it was shocking when I heard the news, but at the end of the day, I understand the business of basketball," end quote, he said. He followed up with, quote, "But I didn't make the decision," end quote. Uh, I don't want to try to go on too much of a tangent here, but I don't want to say LeBron didn't know. I just don't like the fact that LeBron's playing dumb. Um, but let's keep going here. Let's keep going. Let's keep the ball rolling here. I think this is unlikely because at the end of the day, speculation says he was told by his long-time friend and agent, Rich Paul. I think Rich Paul told LeBron this was happening because Rich Paul would have had to been told by the Lakers that this deal was getting done for Luka. Obviously, Rich Paul would have told his client, Anthony Davis, and would have told his best friend of 30 years, LeBron James. Um, I think LeBron James, this is speculation, this is purely speculation on my part, that LeBron knew at least 42, somewhere between 42 and 24 hours before the deal was sealed. Along with that, it was said by former NBA player Marcus Morris, who appeared on the Kevin O'Connor podcast after the trade, said that LeBron James and the Lakers pushed to have Markieff Morris, his brother, included in the trade that brought the Lakers Luka Doncic. And I quote, the part about it, I don't think a lot of people see. Let me start that from the top again. The part about it, I don't think a lot of people see is that also Dorian Finney-Smith, who's been Luka's teammate, Maxi Kleber, were also traded to the Lakers. So Markeith thinks, or I should say Marcus thinks it really helps. So what Marcus is saying is that the Lakers push for his brother Markeith to be in the deal because it would make more people that Luka knew to make him more comfortable in a Lakers jersey. That being Markieff Morris, Dorian Finney-Smith, who was acquired in the deal, who's actually he wasn't acquired in the deal. He was he? No, he wasn't. No, he was brought in the offseason, Dorian Finney-Smith, or previous to it was a previous deal, and then Maxi Kleber. So actually, I'm remembering this wrong. Dorian Finney-Smith was on the Nets. He used to be on the Mavericks with Luka a year and a half, a year previous to this. So Dorian Finney-Smith has a relationship with Luka. Maxi Kleber has a relationship with Luka, and Markieff Morris, who was on the team with Luka at the time of the trade, along with Maxi Kleber, were uh, were a big part of it. And I think that's what Marcus is trying to get at here. So I so that would generally across the board make 8 people that knew, right? And a few people defined by Google is 3 to 5 people. And not to be hyperbolic, but many people acting like they didn't know or were blindsided by the trade is just simply untrue. The only person who was shocked outside of Luca would probably have been the role players, in my opinion. The guys like um, Max Christie and the like, and Maxi Kleber and stuff like that. I think those are the guys who were shocked along with Luca because they just didn't know because they're just in this mega deal, this huge all time like decade changing move. I think it's a bit shady. It's a bit weird to be like, oh, I didn't know. I don't know what you're talking about. But to play it cool, I respect it. Um, I want to get into Luca's reaction, just a little bit here. Luca reacted like most of the Dallas Mavericks fans upon hearing that he had been traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. He was extremely upset. Luka Doncic emotions from that shocking Saturday night on February 1st are apparent. He opened up in an interview and he said that he threw a phone and he still carries it with him, and he he threw the phone after he got off the phone call, and Luka Doncic's manager Laura Beth Seeger showed the souvenir from that night during an interview with ESPN's Malika Andrews. The phone, which apparently did not have a protective case on it, appears to have a piece chipped away at the top and a crack running down the back. However, Luka Doncic did not get rid of it, of the damaged phone. He said, and I quote, "Yeah, it still works," end quote. Doncic said when asked if he still uses the phone, what does it say? Luka said when asked if he still uses the phone, he said, "Yeah, it works." uh, but many, but it may also have been an emotional, significant memento. Additionally, he said about Nico when asked, "It's just sad," and I quote, "It's just sad the way he's talking right now," end quote. He also said, "I never said anything bad about him," end quote. That was after the regular season had ended, after Luka had played a handful of games with the Lakers. So yeah, we are going to move on to the next section. If you like the video so far, like the video. If you like this style of video, let me know in the comments down below. I'd really appreciate it. This is my favorite section, I think. Absolute favorite section. Because it's kind of funny um, how Nico has been portrayed as so many things, and people have so many differing opinions on him. And as I'm recording this, people's opinions have changed. But this section is called Nico Incompetent, Egomaniacal, or Fall Guy, or all three. Um, you're gonna find out which one I think here in a moment. I want to know what you guys think, though. Let's get into it. Uh, either one of these things, he, either one of the three things I've said is 100% possible. Um, my favorite is him being egomaniacal, just having a huge ego, just a monster ego. For some reason, I don't know why he would have a small ego. He just worked at Nike. Um, from the interviews that I've seen, from the way he talks to people, from I think like the guilt he sort of feels but doesn't want to say he feels about the trade, um, and especially in the weeks after the trade, immediately after the trade, um, Nico strikes me as wanting to be the smartest guy in the room, and simply thinking by getting rid of a guy with minor problems in Luka is the solution or the resolution to the team's shortcomings of a title last year is silly. And also kicking Luka on the way out by leaking that he was getting close to 400 pounds, while also not so publicly saying that the org as a whole did not like Luka's off-season activities of drinking a little bit and smoking a little bit of hookah. These things are small, and they were reported by people around the league. Um, and it was one of the bigger reasons reported by everybody that they got rid of Luka. They just didn't like his habits. They just I that always baffles me that like they're just, oh yeah, we just didn't like his habits, but like he brought you to the finals, right? And I'm not I'm gonna say something probably sacrilegious here. I'm gonna say something crazy here, but like Luka's not like James Harden in the sense of like James Harden when he was younger. I don't know his activities now. Um, would go to gentlemen's clubs, would stay out all night, would have the team redirect their schedule so he could stay overnight if they played in Miami, if they played in LA, you know. Lucas seemed like a guy just in the offseason, he just wanted to do what he wanted to do. Um, but one of the most candid things that Nico said in the aftermath of the trade in a press conference with Jason Kidd was defense wins championships. Well, and I quote, defense wins championships, and we're going to hang our hat on defense, end quote. And again, wanting to seem like he's smarter than he actually is when defense wins championships is important. But what is even more important is having a homegrown generational talent that's willing to stay. The last lifeline lie was that they were scared Luke was not going to ink the new extension that he was going to be offered this offseason. Luka was eligible for the supermax extension with the Mavericks that was potentially worth, get ready for this, 345 million over 5 years. But that opportunity was lost due to the trade. This has been called out by False, by Luka, and others. Luka said he was going to sign the extension. He had no intentions of leaving. These are things that have been, again, the last lifeline lie. It was just silly to say these things like, oh well, he's not going to sign the supermax. He's not going to do this. He's not going to do that. We were scared about this, about that. These things are just like thrown out there because like you just want to seem like you you're trying to give the fans a good enough excuse. Just a good enough excuse to be like, oh, see, look, this was the problem. It's not our fault. It's not my fault. You know, this, that, and the third. I think it's just, quite frankly, it's childish, from a guy who worked in a professional environment at Nike for 19 years, um, but obviously never had to do public relations stuff, and probably his feet have never been held to the fire like they've been held to the fire now. I know Nike is a multi-billion-dollar company, but um, they do not have fans like NBA fans. The next segment here, one of the more, I don't want to say comprehensive ones, but one of the more like ones you don't have to dig too deep for if you were just around the NBA at this time a couple months ago. Um, the Mavs fans, they lost all faith, right? Rightfully so, losing their star golden boy, Luka. But worse, the Mavs really, they lose Dirk, an all-time great player for them. Dirk, for those who don't know, NBA champion, MVP, um, Dallas Maverick, lifer. He loves the team. He owes everything to this team. He was a big part of um, uh, Mavs culture, and he sort of, I don't want to say distance himself from the team, but he doesn't want to really. He doesn't seem too optimistic about being around the team. Um, in the days and weeks after the Mavs trade, fans took to social media to show their discontent. Then, when the team resumed play with their new roster, the fans made it known they didn't hate the players that came back in the trade, but they hated Nico. Some fans took to telling Nico personally because they knew he would be at games. They would shout and chant, "Fire Nico." This was met with those fans being escorted out by Dallas Mavericks security staff. And the staff would cite the NBA fan code of conduct, in which it says nothing about expressing your opinion, but the staff would say it was still in violation. Very, very weird. Um, Other fans would try to bring in posters with similar messages of fire Nico. They were told to throw them away, or if they snuck them in, they would be taken away. All of this being a result of the security staff being told by higher ups to keep that language and posters out of the arena. They were told this by the higher ups, so the higher ups could protect Nico. Nico himself, at that point, had hired private security force housed his family and himself. Fans would go as far as the extent of holding a funeral or memorial for Luka as a Mavs player outside the American Airlines Arena. The event got the most attention out of any of the events. Out of, when I say any of the events, I mean like, oh, somebody just chanting "Fire Nico." I saw a video of somebody waiting in the tunnel and literally pointed at Nico and shouted at him. That was one of the craziest videos. Um, but I think I think the funeral was one of the most like potent things the fans could have done because it just shows like how much they cared about him. They did it right outside um, American Airlines, and they did it right outside. They did it right in front of Dirk Nowitzki's statue outside of American Airlines Arena, and it's funny. It's sort of coincidental that Dirk's statue says on the bottom. It has a little quote on the bottom. It says, "Loyalty never fades away." and it has Dirk doing his signature fadeaway, and it's just sort of ironic to see how the team um, went from being so loyal and so understanding of like, hey, we're gonna have bad seasons, we're gonna have good seasons. We need to fix this. We need to fix. Well, I'll use. I'll be a bit um, blunt here and say we need to fix Luka. We need to try to get him to stop drinking a little less, stop smoking a little hookah, and get in shape. Nevertheless, this is the Dirk section. Um, Again, loyalty never fades away. That's the subsection. Dirk appeared on KTCK FM/WFAA-TV to talk about the Luka trade for the first time and said, I was just as shocked and surprised as anyone was. I really couldn't believe it." End quote. Dirk also shared his thoughts while texting with Luka shortly after the deal, and I quote, "Of course, I felt a little disappointed and sad for him. You know, I think he obviously didn't see this coming." End quote. He also said, and I quote, because I give some context to this quote. Dirk was at Luka's first game in LA, and he said, so he invited me to come out to his first game in LA, and I felt like I had to support him. I think it was so reported that he was pretty down and disappointed in how it went down. So I wanted to be there for him. I wanted to be there for his family. I'm sure he wanted to finish his career like I did. Yeah, I think Dirk nailed it. I mean, if you just watch, if you see any of those videos or anything, you can see obviously Luka is trying to be happy that he's in a new situation. But I genuinely think I don't think I covered this in um any of this because it's more of an opinion and more of my um perspective on things. Is that Luka wanted to be happy. He wanted to be happy that he was in LA, and like anybody would be, oh my god, I'm going to LA. I'm gonna get to play. I'm gonna spend a bunch of months out here over the course of like 10 years, and like be like the guy, obviously. Um, and he would smile, and then he would just like it would turn into like a stoic face, and he would just look off into the distance. It looked like he had shell shock. It looked like he had gone to war. It was really it was really uncomfortable. And I think obviously after Luka had played his first game as a Laker, played his first game against the Mavericks, played his first game back in Dallas as a Laker, those feelings sort of wore off, and he got to get it out of his system. And I think he's moved on, and we'll get to the future of this Lakers team in the future with Luka in a moment. But before we do that, I do want to talk about the next section and keep you guys on your toes. There are, let's see, one, two, three, four, five more sections. We're gonna get through this. I promise. I promise. Again, if you like this style of video, like the video. I know you like the style of it because I like this style of video. This next section is called the LA Lakers history of mega trades. LA has a long history of superstar free agent acquisitions like Shaq and like LeBron. Shaq was in the summer of '96, but the history of trades is even more impressive, and some have resulted in championships, and some others not so much. We're going to get through a couple of these. I just want to cover this because I think it's so important for context for this Luka trade and where it ranks, and like again the pantheon of like not just trades, NBA trades of all time, but Lakers trades of all time. Amazing. Um, we're gonna go in order. Um, uh, we're gonna do we're gonna do the successful ones in order from way back in the day to uh, the Luka trade, and then we're gonna do some other ones that didn't work out too well. There were a couple here that very sparingly. I felt like there were a lot more trades that didn't work out for them, a lot more mega trades, but there were only a few from the Lakers. So those will also be in uh, a timeline order. The first one, dating way before my time. The Lakers acquire Wilt Chamberlain from the Philadelphia 76ers for Archie Clark, Daryl Umfhumph, Imfhumph, I don't know how to say that, Jerry Chambers, and cash in 1968. So the Lakers have been doing this for a long time. They've been doing it since 1968. They've been getting huge stars since 1968. That always blows my mind. Um, the one after that, uh, probably the one a lot of people, probably my grandfather knows, probably a lot of your grandfathers and grandparents know, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar trade. The Lakers acquire Kareem from the Milwaukee Bucks for Elmore Smith, Brian Winters, Dave Myers, and Junior Bridgman. I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna say this right here. Some of these players, I have no idea who they are. I know the big names, obviously. I know Will. I know Kareem. I don't know who Dave Myers is. So I can't tell you if these guys got fleeced. I can't tell you if this was a steal of a deal for the Lakers. I can't tell you that. What I can tell you though about this next deal is the Lakers acquired Pau Gasol and a second round pick from the Memphis Grizzlies. The Memphis Grizzlies get Kwame Brown, Javaris Crittenton, Aaron McKee, and the draft rights to Pau Gasol's brother, Marc Gasol, and a first round pick in 2008 and 2010. I can tell you this was a good deal for both teams. The Lakers got Powell. The Grizzlies got what essentially was just Marc Gasol, who I think didn't come over immediately. I think he had to. I think he waited a year to come over because he was playing in Spain at the time. So they eventually got Marc Gasol, and they um, started that grit and grind era of Memphis Grizzlies basketball, which was really good. So I think they both won in this deal. The the following trade, one of the more recent trades, the one that I got to witness and experience live. Um, the Lakers require Anthony Davis from the New Orleans Pelicans for Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and the number 4 pick in the 2019 draft, a 2021 first round pick, a 2023 first round pick swap, and a 2024 first round pick, or 2023 first round swap and a 2024 first round pick. Um, to say, well, for obviously for the Lakers, like I mentioned about Anthony Davis, he won a championship with them, so it worked out for the Lakers. If you consider one championship a success, um, some Lakers fans would, some would not, but I think I think it's I think it's a success, especially it's LeBron's what will probably be LeBron's first and only championship with the Lakers, and was probably going to be Anthony Davis's only championship of his career. I think it's important. Um, from the New Orleans Pelicans perspective, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, um, those players are no longer with the team. They traded Brandon Ingram this this past trade deadline. Lonzo Ball's been gone for like 2 3 years at this point. Josh Hart's been gone for cause Josh Hart has bounced around, but he's definitely he's definitely not in New Orleans anymore. He's with the Knicks, and they're in the playoffs right now. So yeah, huge blunder for the New Orleans Pelicans. I don't know who these picks turned into. I could probably look that up, but this is a video about the Mavs and the Lakers. More so the Mavs, but we're talking about the Lakers right now. So it doesn't really matter who those picks turned into. And obviously, the most recent trade that may or may not work out. We don't know yet. As recording of this video, the Lakers season has ended. We'll get to that though. The Lakers require Luka Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks for Anthony Davis and Max Christie in a 2029 first round pick. Again, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to work out. My gut feeling, my gut reaction is it's going to work out. They're at least going to win one. They're at least going to win one. If Anthony Davis can win one with LeBron James, Luka Doncic can win one with or going into the future without LeBron. I think it's going to happen. Um, let's talk about some trades that didn't work out for the Lakers, just to give some perspective because I don't want to make it look like, oh, Luka's going to do it. He's going to win a championship no matter what, whatever. Right. So trades that didn't work out. The Lakers received Dwight Howard. This is let me actually preface this before I go on with this. This is a huge trade, has huge implications for the NBA. This is one of those trades where I looked this trade up, and I forgot how big of a deal this trade was in the moment. So there's gonna be a lot of names, a lot of people going to a lot of places. Just stay with me, okay? The Lakers receive Dwight Howard. The Denver Nuggets will acquire Andre Iguodala. The 76ers will receive Andrew Bynum, Josh Richardson. The Magic will get Aaron Aflalo, Al Harrington, Nikola Vucevic, and one protected future first-round pick from each of the three teams. The Lakers will also acquire Earl Clark, Chris Duhan, and the 76ers will get the draft pick from we'll get the draft pick that was Maurice Harkless. Chris Broussard reported. Um, this was a huge deal. To the casual fan, to somebody who doesn't know, this is a huge deal. Um, Guys like Andre Iguodala, guys like Nikola Vucevic became all stars. They were all stars in this deal. They were in this deal for a reason. Andrew Bynum notoriously got traded to the Sixers in this deal and then never played a game for the Sixers. So this has a lot of implications. Um, Crazy deal. This deal did not work out for the Lakers, however, because Kobe Bryant just didn't like Dwight Howard, and Dwight Howard was a big soft baby apparently. Um, but there were some other things that were going on that have come out afterwards. I don't particularly know the specifics because I'm not a Lakers fan. I don't really care about the beef between Kobe and Dwight Howard, especially since Kobe's gone now. Um, it doesn't matter to me in the grand scheme of things. But another deal that was around the same time as the Howard deal, the Lakers acquire Steve Nash via sign and trade with Phoenix for the Phoenix Suns for a 2013 first round pick, a 2015 first round pick, a 2013 and 2014 second round pick. This deal was encompassing with the Dwight Howard deal, so it was Kobe, Dwight, um, Nash, and Pau Gasol. This was all around the same time. Um, Although Howard and Nash did not win a championship with the Lakers, it was just a big mess for them. And I am leaving out some trades. I'm leaving out the um, the Karl Malone thing. I think he was a free agent though. I'm leaving out the Gary Payton thing because everybody knows about that team. We don't need to talk about this. We don't need to talk about that. We're here to talk about the Lakers more currently, in the Lakers and the Mavs more recently as well. But I'm just giving some perspective here. And the last one, the one that didn't work out before this, the one that didn't work out that the Lakers tried to swing and missed before this Luka trade was the Lakers acquiring Russell Westbrook. Um, from the Washington Wizards for Kyle Kuzma, Contavious Caldwell Pope, Montrezl Harrell, and the 22nd pick in the 2021 NBA draft. This trade did not work out because the team, if memory serves me correctly, the team was absolute ass. It was bad. The whole team as a whole was bad that year. And Russell Westbrook was, looking back on it, he was scapegoated, but I think this is why people had a problem with Rob Palenka, because he did shit like this. He got Russell Westbrook when Russell Westbrook was well past his prime, but didn't realize he was past his prime yet. And LeBron was way too overconfident with having Russell Westbrook, and I think it was Russell Westbrook, Dwight Howard, Rajon Rondo, um, Russell Westbrook, Rajon Rondo, Dwight Howard, Carmelo Anthony, all on the same team. I think, and there's a notorious tweet from LeBron James from this era of Lakers basketball. I'll see if I can find it for you guys. I found the tweet. The tweet from this era of failed Lakers basketball. And I quote from LeBron James' Twitter: "Keep talking about my squad, our personal ages, the way he plays, he stays injured. We're past our time in this league, etc., etc., etc. Please do me one favor, please, and I mean please, keep that same narrative energy when it begins. That's all I ask. Hashtag thank you." So that tweet was deleted. I think maybe like a year after this whole debacle happened. Um, yeah, not a great time for Lakers basketball in the Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Anthony Davis era. Not a great time. Looking back, some of these trades were either hugely positive for the Lakers or just a miss as a whole. Where will the Luka trade end up? I don't know. I have my own opinions, but we'll save that for later. And now we move on to something a bit more fun at the end of this video, towards the end of this video. Um, player media, media reaction and player reactions. Player media were equally shocked on February 2nd at 12:13. Some players immediately tweeting out their reactions to the Luka trade, while some reporters giving their reactions to the trade live on ESPN, with the likes of ESPN's Brian Windhorst saying in the aftermath immediately after this trade, "This has to do with more than basketball," end quote. He would turn out to be totally correct. Great call out by Brian Windhorst. I remember watching that live. You were like, there has to be more than basketball going on here. There has to be. Um, I do have a whole article from the NBA with player tweets and everything. I'll leave it linked down below if you want to check it out for yourself. I'm surprised the NBA has this, but they have it. Um, there was there's the player reactions here are funny. Um, we'll go through some of them here, and then obviously I'll leave the link down below if you want to check it out. Dirk Nowitzki tweeted out the surprised emoji face with the red blush at 1 a.m. An hour after the trade got done, he found out. Giannis tweeted out the shivering emoji with the world emoji. I guess was saying a cold world. Um, let's see here. Kevin Durant, who I think this the day of. This might have been the day of. Yeah, the Suns might have. I think the Suns were playing when this deal got done. Yeah. Kevin Durant said in a post game media scrum when he was asked about the trade, players are held to a different standard of loyalty and commitment to a program, but the organizations don't get held to the same standard from the outside. That's what he said in an interview. Devin Booker also had something to say when asked about it. It's crazy, and I quote, "It's crazy, man. I don't really know what to say about it. Luka being a guy that everybody claimed is untouchable, untradeable. The NBA shows you again." End quote. He also said, "It's a business they're always looking to have a conversation." End quote. Well, let's see. Is that the end of the quote? Oh, the NBA. Oh, it's a business. They're always looking to have a conversation about you. Don't think that you are safe. End quote. That's the full quote there for you. Um, Trey Young tweeted out a chess emoji with a bunch of exclamation points. I guess they're saying chess. I guess he's saying chess. It's a chess move. I don't know. Tyrese Maxey tweeted in all caps, "Huh?" Exclamation point! Exclamation point! De'Aaron Fox tweeted out um, the head exploding emoji. I agree, De'Aaron. Tyler Hero tweeted out WTF question mark question mark question mark question mark question mark. CJ McCollum, play president of the NBA Players Association, tweeted, "I can't tell what's real and fake anymore on these apps. Luka really going to the Lakers or not? Question mark." And then he tweeted about 20 minutes later, "Got to pack them bags just in case nowadays. If the Don got traded, only Lord knows." Um, Josh Hart also tweeted, "Huh?" Malik Monk tweeted, "Hell nah," 3 laughing emojis. And lastly here, NFL quarterback, multiple time champion Patrick Mahomes tweeted, "Wait, what?" Question mark. He's a Dallas Mavericks fan, so I'm sure he was literally just as shocked as all of us. Crazy stuff. I forgot. I was literally looking for this compilation, and I was like, "Oh, there are gonna be some funny ones in here." And then I forgot how actually funny some of these were. That people were like, nobody knew. Nobody had ever put a single thought into their mind that Luka might get traded. Nobody put a single thought in their mind. Um, well, I should say Luka getting traded right now. Maybe in 10 years when they've made it to the finals, lost, made it to the finals, lost. Like won one, lost the rest of them. Maybe then he would have gotten traded, but not now. And yeah, we have come to the end. We have come to an end in only an hour. I thought this was gonna take way longer, but guess not. Um, I'm gonna give my closing thoughts and predictions for 2025, 2026, and beyond for Luka and the Lakers. This is where I'm going to get more of my opinion going in here. Like I said, I try not to give my opinion too much throughout the course of this script and the course of this video, but I had to include at the end here because, again, I'm a Luka Doncic fan. And I'm going to preface this whole thing here with for a long time, I would do pre draft work like in my spare time, just like when I was in school and just like when I had spare time and stuff. And I was lucky enough to be doing pre-draft work um, when Luca was declared for the draft, and when I watched Luca's tape for the first time, I was just shocked by his savviness and his ability to not only make his teammates better, but to elevate his own play in big moments as a pro playing for Madrid. He's been a pro since he was like what 14 or 16. I forget. He's been a pro for a long time. Um, then when he got drafted to the Mavs, it was a great match. He got to play with his hero Dirk in his final year, and you guys know the rest. But that's just how I want to preface this: is that I don't want to make it seem like I'm a new Luka Doncic fan. I've been doing this for a while, and as he suited up to play his first game as a Laker on February 10th against the Jazz, it felt very weird. And that's what this all has been, is weird. The things that came out after the trade, but before his first game as a Laker, were really an indictment of Nico's incompetence. Things like, again, we think defense wins championships. Time will tell if I'm right. Along with Nico said, the future to me is 3, 4 years from now. The future 10 years from now, they'll probably bury me and Jason Kidd, or by then we'll bury ourselves. He said this as he was sitting next to Jason Kidd, who was uncomfortable. But these things just are so like bare bones and so like lazy as a reason to give to your fans. And I I I think, man, I want to say something. I'll save it right to the end. I'll save it right to the end. Um, but back to my thoughts was like, moreover, this season was detrimental to the Mavs, and I've been sort of skirting around this thought. This was the first real thought that came out after like a month after maybe that. And I believed it. I'm not gonna sit and act like I didn't believe it. That this trade was a whole big conspiracy theory, so the Mavs ownership group could move the Mavs to Las Vegas. Like I mentioned, the ownership group, Miriam and Patrick, have made their money in casinos, so it would make sense why they would want to move them there. And obviously, Las Vegas is growing. They have a bunch of teams now. They have the Raiders. They have the uh, excuse me. They have the Raiders. They have the Golden Knights. They have the A's now. Um, they have the Las Vegas Aces, the women's basketball team. It's a growing place, and it would make sense why the ownership group would want to move there. And the Lakers have not the Lakers. The league has always the NBA has always wanted to have a team there. They have summer league there every year for the past like I think decade now, and there is going to be a team there, but I don't think it's going to be the Mavericks. I really don't. I really don't. My faith, my faith, my thought in that um, conspiracy theory has waned completely. I think it really comes down to Nico being given all the little reasons to trade Luca. Um, a, Luca a guy who Nico obviously didn't like, and he could not see past these little microaggressions that Luka did. Luka is not completely innocent in the fact that he probably did not take his job seriously enough, but that's who he was. That's who he is. That's how he always played. It resulted in the first finals appearance for the Mavs since the Dirk era. Also for Luka, that apparently was not for that was not enough for Nico. In a later report by Mark Stein, it came out that Nico was going to, and I quote, he said made it his mission. He was going to make it his mission, end quote, to trade Luka this summer, if not earlier. It obviously happened earlier. Um, and now my prediction for the Lakers overall next season. Uh, as I'm recording this, this is the day after. I'm literally recording. I made this script up, this whole script. It took me a week to do this, but it was cool. It was so like perfect that the Lake not perfect, but it was perfect. I'll say it that way. It was perfect that the Lakers were down 3-1. They had a chance to. He had a chance. They had a chance to come back down from 3-1. They didn't do it. They lost to the Wolves in 4 games to 1. So this being the last part of the video and going into what I normally talk about every day, which is just the NBA in general. I think this was overall a positive season for the Lakers. To do a mega trade like this and figure out some major things between LeBron James and Luka is huge. I think the team will get a good overhaul this summer. They desperately need a real center. They got absolutely destroyed by Rudy Gobert um, last night. They got absolutely destroyed. He had 20. He had like 20. He had a 20 point 20 rebound plus game. They need a real center. They need more active shooters who move off the ball. Like it's cool to have Rui Hachimura, who had a good game, the final game of the postseason. Um, who's an okay shooter. It's okay to have Gabe Vincent, who came over from the from the Heat a couple years ago, who hasn't been the same shooter in a Lakers jersey. He's literally just a catch and shoot shooter. They need more people that move off the ball, and some of that does fall on JJ, the Lakers coach. It was his first year as a coach, um, but I think his offense needs to evolve a little bit. I think it will, but I think the Lakers also need to give him the right role players, the right tools to make that transition into um, Luka Doncic basketball and making Luka running more. I don't want to say a heliocentric brand of basketball around Luka, but a more heliocentric version, a more heliocentric style of basketball around a motivated and in shape Luka Doncic. I think that would be amazing. That would be brilliant. Um, and towards the end of this playoff run for the Lakers, Lakers fans have been calling for Austin Reeves, the guy, the undrafted guy who they found diamond in the rough. Another big win for Rob Pelinka, who found Austin Reeves. Um, they want Austin Reeves to be traded because he's had a shitty playoff round. I don't think that will happen. I think he fits too good with LeBron and Luka. He's on a great deal too. You're not gonna get a deal like that for a guy like that, for the production like that. And finally, in his uh, first round exit interview, post game interview, LeBron James said he wants to uplift Luka and his game as much as possible next season. And the conversation, I don't want to make it too much about it, but is LeBron going to retire? From what I've heard this morning, from what I've seen this morning from the likes of Shams Charania and other people, LeBron is going to play one more season at least. He's a free agent this summer. He's going to sign a 1+1, and he's going to see what happens next year. And I think this team has a way better chance next year. I don't think it takes a lot of brain power to think that Luka will come into next season in shape and very motivated with the help of LeBron James, who is notoriously Like he's the poster boy of LeBron James for being in shape, for taking the offseason seriously. I think if Luka can take anything from LeBron, is to get in shape, to be motivated, to prove the Mavs wrong, because the narrative is sort of shift, and I hinted at this at the beginning, where some people are looking at Nico and like he might look like a genius now because Luka did not have a very good postseason run, or even a first round, I should say. And people are starting to say Luka might Nico might have sold might have sold the Lakers a lemon. It just might have been a smart move. I don't know. Time will tell. Again, I'm a Luka fan, so I'm not going to say that. I think Luka's going to get in shape. I think he's going to be motivated. But I think the biggest part of this again is JJ Redick improving as a coach, but also being given the pieces um, for next season, along with LeBron and Luka and Reeves and whoever else is there. I think this team is going to have a major overhaul again. And lastly, to bring it back to the Mavs, uh, the cleanup and narrative control that the Mavs have tried to do is laughable. So I just kind of want to include it here at the end. Nico reportedly being forced to do an end of season presser um, at the end of the Mavs regular season um, by the higher ups. They said, Nico, you got to go out there and face the music. It just goes to show how embarrassed the team is about Nico. Nico requested that there be no cameras, audio recorders in the room so he could double down and say he did not regret the trade, is the epitome of somebody whose ego is too big and is not fit to run a team. Uh, yeah, and he did say he didn't regret the trade, which is insane. It's an insane thing to say. I get the counter argument is going to be, what do you think you should say it was wrong? I don't think you should say you were wrong, but I think you should say we let go of a generational talent, and we'll see what happens. I think we made the right move. I think that's the right thing to say. Um, Nico's run at the end of this has been so bad, and just the whole team, they up the prices of tickets, they up the prices of everything in the arena to try to recoup some cost. Um, it's so bad that Rick Welts, the who worked with the Warriors, so he knows a thing or two about winning championships and building a culture, said, "We hear them," and I quote, "We hear them." Oh, Rick Welts, the chief executive officer, I should use his full title, said, and I quote, "We hear them. It's on us to win their trust back. This story is unfinished. We understand the pain." I think that's the most coherent and most optimistic thing, without sounding like a an arrogant ass, that the Mavs have come out and said in a while. There's some other things the like reportedly the Mavs uh, governor Patrick Dumont came out and said, it's been reported that he let me see if I can find it here. Oh, here you go. Yes, this is reported by Tim Cato. Um, those sources with the team consistently express belief that Dumont no longer sees Harrison as a figure with irreproachable basketball expertise. Most notably, team and league sources say Dumont has had frustration with Harrison that did not warn him, or perhaps even more damningly, being unaware of the fandom's outrage following the trade. Those same sources say it has, he said, had some influence over Dumont's decision to make Harrison appear for last week's closed media event, which Harrison did not want to do. So Nico's time is ticking. Um, I'm gonna scroll through some quotes I got here. Um, Nico doubles down on the trade and says, "There's no regret on the trade. Part of it is doing what's best for the Mavs." So he doesn't care about the fans, is what he's saying. Um, and the funny thing is about this closed doors interview, or this closed doors press conference, is that like even the people that were in the media were like, "This is embarrassing. Like, just don't do the interview. Just like step down, don't do the interview, or just like let there be cameras." I think they did negotiate a at least audio recorders in there. I don't think they released any of those audio recordings though. And yeah, I mean, I have a few more things, but I think this is comprehensive enough, and I think I'm going to. I think this is it. I think I'm going to end it here. I do have one more thing, one more very important thing, and to share my sentiment. I think a lot of Dallas Mavericks fans' sentiment and all of that. It's a quote from former Mavs owner Mark Cuban. About a year and a half before the trade, he was on a podcast. I remember watching this podcast. I think it might have been the JJ Redick podcast, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Um, but it says, and I quote, "If I had to choose between my wife and keeping Luka on the Mavs, catch me at my lawyer's office prepping for divorce." Uh, Former Mavs owner Mark Cuban said. And in the moment when I watched that, I laughed. And now looking back on it, it's like, oh my God, he was so on the money. He was such a smart guy. um, and yeah, we could talk about why Mark sold it and all that, but I don't think that's important to this whole discussion. Um, but yeah, this was Turmoil, um, the video series featuring the Dallas Mavericks. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun making this, and it's one of my longest videos. I think it might not be my longest video, but it's my most comprehensive, my most um like just factual video. I think I usually do things right off the cuff. This was off the cuff. This was all done in one take. Pat myself on the back. Um, I'm going to do more of these as the off season comes into focus. I have a bunch of other teams lined up. I won't say who yet, but I thought it was fortuitous that this would be the first one. And yeah, man, I had so much fun making this. Um, I know this is a small channel, very small channel, um, and only a few people watch and listen, but this is fun for me. This is the type of video again I like to make, or I like to watch, like these in-depth, like retrospective videos. Other YouTube channels like Stunted Growth, Synthetic Sports, Secret Base, um, way more popular channels than I do this stuff. And when I started this channel, this is the kind of stuff I wanted to do. Um, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of looking into stuff. So I want to shout out those guys again: Stunted Growth, Synthetic Sports, Secret Base, for being, I don't want to say the pioneers in this sort of space, but the people that I think do it the best. And I hope this video, it doesn't have the fancy graphics, it doesn't have like the high quality stuff. We'll get there one day, hopefully, but this is something that I wanted to do, and I don't think anybody's really done it. Done a whole retrospective on this Mavs thing, and I hope this video does well. And if it doesn't, hopefully we can come back and watch it when this channel is successful, and look back and say, oh, this is the start of this whole series. So yeah, enough rambling. That is Turmoil again, a new series. There'll be a whole playlist. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for um, watching an hour-long video. If you made it this far, drop a comment, like the video, share the video, and all that good stuff. And I will see you guys with your regularly scheduled programming in the future, and hopefully more of this series. Thank you again. Cheers.